Hello, I'm Steve. A little about myself. I'm a retired law enforcement officer with 20 years of service. I began my career in the jail, worked the road, and became an investigator. During my career, my training consisted of everything from SWAT to becoming a state certified crime scene technician. I've investigated crimes from thefts to homicides. After retiring and becoming aware of true crime and web sleuths, I started my channel for web sleuths to better understand the perspectives of law enforcement. Not only do we cover true crime, I go out into the field and assist families who have lost loved ones to homicide and their cases are considered cold. Join me as we look and bring attention to these critical cases.
Hello, everyone. I'm glad you're able to join us tonight. And if you're new to the channel, welcome. And while you're in the chat tonight, we'll have a presentation that we'll be presenting, and I'll be back and forth between chat. But while you're in chat, be mindful and be respectful of families, mods, and each other. While some arrests have been made, and of course, some names are out there, we will probably just be referring to all persons of interest as grandma, boyfriend, and associates living on properties of the boyfriend, something along those lines. Really don't want to get into the names, although I do have records of one in-house of the four. I was waiting on the other names to be published and ran out of time, and so but they're out there, and I just didn't have time to create the slides on those. But charges haven't been, and I think about a minute or two ago, the Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigations said that they do have 4 in custody regarding this case, but that they haven't released the names at this time. So there's a reason and a process for that, and of course we'll respect that and as much as possible. But I do wish to thank everyone for being here, and our thoughts and prayers goes out to the victims in this case. And if you have any information about this case, absolutely make sure that you, or if you have any connections in that area and you know anything or your family knows anything, make sure that law enforcement has this information, as they will need every bit of information to proceed to ensure that justice is found for Veronica and Jillian. There's been some posting also by some of the family members, I believe, regarding Jillian Kelly currently, as far as that it's stating that she has passed. I believe that was posted by some of the family members, but if that is the case, absolutely our thoughts and prayers go out to the families, and for the fact that this is a day that, while truly sad, there are people that are truly evil taken off the streets. For anyone that would do this to anyone for any reason, it just doesn't make sense. I mean, we're talking about evil, and what people will do, what will trigger them to commit such horrible crimes to people that in some cases are related to them through family disputes, or a marriage that has or was in the process of separation and custody battles. And it has led to yet another case of where innocent victims have lost their lives for just for whatever drives this process. And there are some ties of this family being, as far as being reported as sovereign citizens. And if you haven't or ever dealt with sovereign citizens, like I said, I haven't really ever had to deal with where I've stopped one on the road or anything, but their mindset of how they view the laws of the land and who is in charge is totally different than what we as average citizens view the courts and the laws, and how we will address issues. So if that's the case, as the courts move forward, it will be extremely interesting that if they go down those routes of what will happen in the courts as we move forward. But like I said, we'll get into it. And if you have any information, make sure law enforcement has this. On a couple of previous shows, we had discussed and analyzed on our first show about what type of ruse or of that would allow these two ladies that were going for the custody exchange to stop or be stopped, and at a location. And from that location, in the last 48 hours, we also have learned that not only was there some type of blood pattern found in the vehicle, but there's actual pools of blood that were located outside, which is extremely interesting to me as a CSI guy. That you can have trace amounts or very little within a vehicle, but outside the vehicle, you have pools. And which doesn't make sense to me in the processing of crime scenes. That if you had some type of serious injury that occurred in the vehicle, you will have a continuous blood trail until you get outside the vehicle. And just having pools of blood with no other disturbances, such as that what created that pool of blood? And does it raise the possibility that a lot of this could have been staged for different reasons, that this vehicle was placed there in the pools and everything? It makes me wonder about everything about where that vehicle was, for the fact that it's not easy to move victims. It will be if you have multiple offenders, which appears to be what has occurred in this case. So as we move forward, and hopefully with four people being in custody, there are going to be people that will absolutely turn against each other, and that will benefit the courts, benefits law enforcement, and we'll have at some point the court will be absolutely aware through the interview process as these people turn upon each other to get the better deal for themselves, as we often see that these monsters absolutely have no loyalty to each other and will turn upon, and law enforcement will use those tactics to get a full story of what went on out there. And where was the primary crime scene? Where is the secondary crime scene? And where are the victims? And I expect that they will be able to find the victims at some point. And that's what we hope for, that we hope for the best, that the victims are still alive. But is that really, that's all we can hope for. We don't know the full story yet. We hope that they're alive, but over the time and with the pools and what blood evidence and foul play, it doesn't, the odds are not great in that favor for anything other than a recovery at this point. But we can hope for the best. But then we also, not only did we look at possible analyze of what type of ambush or ruse could have been that caused this type of crime to occur, we looked at the crime rates in that county, trying to eliminate other possibilities. There have been stories of human trafficking, and looking at it, and that there's no reports of it, and we did all that to which way and what would most likely have occurred. Was it simply this custody battle? And because if you eliminate all the other, or give them less value as far as being the possible reasons for a homicide, then it gives more value to the obvious that there is a child custody issue, and we're dealing with people that absolutely took it to a level it did not need to go to. But before I get too much further in it, let's go in the chat, see what's going on. Leanne's here. Good to see you. Maria, Paula. Paula says, arrests have been made, but have they been found? Seems that he will never rest. I believe that will be answered shortly, for the fact that, like I said, when you have one person, like we saw with the Dylan Rounds case, it could take a long time for the discovery or the process of convincing one individual to lead you to where a victim is. With four, you can play, and law enforcement is well skilled in those interview steps and processes that they will play one against another, and they'll more than likely this will not be anything that will be strung out over any period of time. And I believe that more than likely, relatively shortly, they will have answers of where the victims are. Let's see here. Phoebe's here. Good to see you. Paula, I just said. CJK, BG, OG is here. Southern Gal, good to see you. And this is some of the notes that and highlights that have occurred that we've been made aware of, that during this domestic and child custody issue, that the grandmother said in court, and it's documented, that if custody was changed, that bodies would drop. And then, of course, the attorney that was representing her got away from that. And it's absolutely amazing of what people and criminals will state. And that will come, if that is true, that will come back to haunt her. Let's see here. Olivia, good to see you. Copper Horse, always glad to have you here. There's Shelly. Olivia, just trying to get caught up before I get too far behind, guys. Yes, and we don't know what the total number will eventually get to. Who in these early stages of investigations and the arrest, and if anyone has seen the the vehicle and the number of vehicles that responded, that was on the earlier broadcast, and were these vehicles, tactical vehicles, law enforcement vehicles, unmarked vehicles, were going to a location to effect an arrest, you would expect, for the fact that anytime that you put a number of vehicles heading in any one directions, and the first 4 or 5 of them are tactical vehicles, there's a reason for that. And they will go up there and they'll take care of business, and I'm sure they did, and they were prepared for just about anything that could or would have occurred. And luckily, the arrests were made. Does that mean that others may be arrested in the future? It's possible. And will there be a 5th? Could be, and it could be far more. Who knows currently? Yes, CJK, it is a very sad moment. Hello, Josh the Posh. Dapper, aka Tangerine, good to see you. Black Widow, good to see you again. The Purple. Sparky. See if we got any more questions, and then I'll get back into the presentation. NH Mountains. Farmer, everything is going well. I'm glad to see you, sir. Yes, Phoebe, that you are correct. Those have been mentioned. And I think one of the beef butchers is the one that I obtained of things, but the others, like I said, I was waiting on them and I wasn't able to get to them. But anyway, that the Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigations has said that they have 4 in custody currently, and it's related to, of course, these 2 missing moms. A terrible, terrible story. And but like I said, what would have led to them being able to be stopped, and what happened at that scene, law enforcement's going to find out. Will they reveal that to us? At some point, we will have a better understanding of it. Will it come through a news briefing, or will it come through discovery when the trial starts? Because there's an interesting thing that when I've looked at this, I've also looked at, is capital punishment, or the DP, allowed in Oklahoma? Is it part of their legal penalty? And it is. And there was an interesting fact that I looked at, that the state has executed the 2nd largest number of convicts in the United States Only other state that has executed more is Texas. But since the relegalization, and which started in 1976, and also there's a thing that, interestingly, Oklahoma has the highest number of DPs, um, executions per capita in the country. So these people that committed this crime, while there's a lot of argument that the DP doesn't um, deter crime, but absolutely, if these people are sentenced to that, they won't be committing anymore. And I know it's a highly political issue that for people that's for it or against it. But anyway, all right, let's get on down through here, see what's going on. Get back in chat right quick. Art at True Crime Fox, good to see you. I got several creators in here. Got Art at Fox, got Southern Gal. Y'all check them out. Butterfly, True Crime. That's a new one. Good to see you. Yes, yeah, the names are plastered all over Facebook. I'm just waiting on the Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigations to release them. And then, of course, like I said, the mother of one of the victims has said that she has passed. Gil Hurd, good to see you. Nanar. But yeah, one of the most interesting things to me is that, like I said, when they were speaking about that new details about the victims possibly being shot, and we have large pools outside the vehicle, you would expect that where did the blood inside the vehicle come from? And that's what's I don't truly understand. How is this? Was there a struggle inside the vehicle that would possibly created some type of injury inside the vehicle? Did they lock the doors and they had to break a window? How did the vehicle get off road over there? And was there some type of struggle that created some type of blood trail from the vehicle that was minimal, and then something far more major occurred outside? It could be as simple as that, or it could be something a little bit more complex, as in they were staging it to look like that this is the location where the crime occurred and where the abduction occurred. Don't know yet, but there's, in the world of law enforcement, CSI, they will answer those. And but I'm very curious about what was the steps taken. You are correct. Sovereign or not, no one is above the law. Absolutely. They say that 4 has been arrested. That is correct. Certain injuries could cause a victim to, yes, vomit or exhale, or there's another term. It's I just did it the other day on another aspirated blood patterns. Aspiration is whenever any type of blood gets into the airways, and as you either cough or speak or any of that sometimes it will create a certain type of blood pattern, and it's aspirate. Yeah. Mrs. Steve sent that to me. She knows about as much about crime scenes as I do. I get so much stuff on my mind sometimes. Hello, Data Lisa. Good to see you. I expect that will probably come very shortly. Absolutely. Hello, Brenda. Good to see you. You too, Olivia. Cynthia. Michelle, good to see you. Nadia. Just trying to see if there's any more questions before I get too far behind. Ardit Fox. Thank you so much for all you do, Mr. Steve. Glad I was finally able to catch it live. I'm glad you are too, sir. We appreciate your support. I'll be going back on the road in just a few weeks, and I appreciate that support. We go out on the road and work code cases, guys, if you're new to the channel. Hello, Cass. Yes, arrests were made, 4 persons. And of course, grandma, boyfriend, and a couple of associates of boyfriend currently. They haven't, OSBI hasn't released the names yet, but as soon as they do, then of course, I just like to wait until all that's on paper. Hello, Jill. He said, I don't know how many people it would have taken to get them into custody, but we saw how many they were going to use. And there's probably a far more than what you see. I was a counter sniper, and a lot of times there's certain things that occur prior to law enforcement making a presence known. Was that the case in this? More than I would expect it would be. And so there's a lot of things that go on anytime you have some type of tactical or high risk arrest made. Scott Daly. That's a good observation, though, there, Hugh. And this is a good point. If they did the daybell thing, better check backyard and the pet cemetery. Not only that, but when you're dealing with this type of person, are there others that may be missing somewhere that came across their paths? Robin B, Betty, Daisy. All right. Now let's go in here. But anyway, 3 of the persons that were arrested were from Cimarron County. And I looked at some of the demographics for Cimarron. And Cimarron is not as big as Texas County, and it's the next county out on the Panhandle, as furthest western county. And 1,841 square miles. And so when you take these, these 2 counties combined, you're looking at almost 4,000 square miles. Absolutely unreal how huge of an area that these victims could be in. Anything within a day's drive. They could have been. Although there's a generally, you have what they taught us back in the day with the CSI training and psychological and profiling, that most of these encounters and the transferring of victims is generally 7 miles, 10 minutes. And so you can expect a lot of this stuff to happen within that time frame. Now, of course, you can have outliers that would double or triple that because we saw, like in the Evansdale case, of where 2 victims were transported 20-something miles. And so you do have, but day in and day out on the daily averages, it's 7 to 10 minutes, or 7 miles or 10 minutes generally. But the population for Cimarron County is 2,296, and it's the smallest and lowest populated density in the state of Oklahoma. I can't imagine. You're looking at basically just over 1 person per square mile. And of course, that's not going to be the case of them being evenly dispersed, but it would be that, you're going to have a few towns or 4-way intersections with quite a few people in it, and that's about it. So it's amazing how, but then over here is where Texas County is. This is where the women went missing, where they were going to Eva at the crossroads and for the child custody issue. And there's some revelations made that of course, they were trying to get them where they would meet at a different location at some point. I'm sure that the mother was quite worried, and of course, after seeing what was going on in the courts and some of the escalation, because she would have known there would have been conversations and probably text messages. Plus, if she's in court and she hears that bodies are going to be dropping, that's not what people normally say in court in front of a judge. That if that Tiffany threatened in court that if she gets custody, bodies are going to start dropping, and that's a strong statement to be made. Hello, Michelle C., Mitzi Scott. Get a look. See, that's a new one. Good to see you. But yeah, one of them was arrested in Texas County, the other three from Cimarron, and they all four so far that I know of have been booked in Texas County, which means that, of course, that's going to be were that they have some type of evidence that everything occurred in Texas County. If they had evidence that it happened outside the county, you would have bookings in other areas, such as if it happened in Cimarron County. Or at least that's the way it is there in Georgia. Whichever county has jurisdictions, that's where everybody gets booked and everybody gets charged. So they're expecting and have knowledge more than likely that everything took place in Texas County. Was it that one intersection, or is there another area? And how many different types of crime scenes do we have? Let's see. And yes, there was a report that the window was broken. Was it shot out? It's possible. Absolutely. Let's see. Try and get caught back up. Hello, Junior Johnson. Good to see you. Yeah, there's all different. And even if and I understand what you're talking about, that when you have high velocity blood spatter, because in the analysis of blood pattern and blood stain analysis, that you have low velocity, medium velocity, and high velocity blood spatter from gunshot injuries and things of that nature. The high velocity is a finer mist, but once that wound is there, it instantly, until the heart stops pumping, it will create a blood flow. And if it happened in the vehicle and there should have been a trail to where the pools were, you would expect. We don't know what type of injuries they are, but whenever they find the victims and whenever we get to court, we'll have a better understanding of everything that went on. Hello, Daisy. Yes, Southern Gal, the school where one of the victims graduated from, she was the only senior, was not too far from there. The purple, you all seem really nice. That's refreshing. Absolutely. I have a great community that allows me to go out and do a lot of things, and I couldn't do it without them. Melody Faith, good to see you. Cynthia Gaines, $20 super sticker. Thank you. Appreciate your support, Cynthia. Like I said, I'm going on the road shortly. Probably looks like we're going to be about mid-May. Love to hunt is absolutely horrific. These poor children, the preacher and others who care. Absolutely. Yes, the father of the children, who is the other part of this breakup and child custody, he was in a rehab center. And as far as I know, it's been verified that's where he was at the time that this occurred. So law enforcement has a pretty good understanding of the exact times and hours. And I'm sure they were able to narrow the window. I mean, from the time that they left Kansas and went into Oklahoma, there's going to be a digital footprint and trail as they go through their cellular devices and all types of ways that you're tracked now, that we all are, that anyone that uses any type of phone, you're constantly, sometimes you have certain devices in the vehicles that will track you. And if that's not the case, of course, our personal devices uh, assist that. How did the mom lose custody? There would have been some type of court hearing and claims of different abuses. And of course, there was claims that a relative of the mother of the children, that there had been some type of abuse, which led to the children being taken from that ability, that she wasn't able to protect them, and placed into the grandmother of the father, and who had custody. And that's where the supervised exchange was coming into the discussion and what has led to this. All right. Also, so this is where the sheriff's office is. It's not a real big office in Texas County. They strangely, they use a lot of unmarked white vehicles, trucks, and I saw that, and I'll show you some of the vehicles that were responding to a location of where the tactical vehicles were going to effect not only arrest, and that's something we have to think about, that all these vehicles and all this personnel, while they're going to effect an arrest, they're also going to effect a search warrant. So there's going to be search warrants that are coming out of this, and there will be processing that will be going on for quite a long time, because they're going to seize through those search warrant affidavits that they've been compiling and completing and getting signed for the last several days, as they got their strategy together of when they're going to execute, how they're going to execute. Once these persons are placed into custody, now the CSI part comes in. The CSI part of this for the searches of these residences and these properties is going to go in. They're going to seize everything that would support any type of evidence, from the digital world to bloodstained clothing that the victims may have been some type of transfer to the offenders, trying to figure out who the exact offenders would have been on site, what were the interactions with any of the victims. And so there's going to be a lot of processing that goes on, I would expect, at several properties for the next few days. Or at least that's what I'm expecting. So it's more than just this arrest that's going on now. I can't see that they would have went without being prepared to carry it to the next level. Now, will they be searching all night? No, they don't have to. Law enforcement, a lot of times, if certain things occur, that they'll seize the property, and then they'll get there in the daylight hours. Now, if there's certain things that can be used, and you can use those night hours for, such as if you're going to go in and process certain areas of a residence, the night hours are best, because you can turn off the power, you can come in there with your chemical agents, use luminol, identify clothing that or shoes, floors, areas that could be used to clean up or wash yourself, such as bathrooms. And you can go into those areas and bring in the CSI part of your investigation and luminol, and see if there's any type of blood stains. And there's other chemicals that can be used, but law enforcement, there's certain processes and steps that they'll use, and I expect that that will come to pass regarding this case. And if you haven't seen any of the testing on about luminol, go back into my video history. I have several of them out there that you'll see where I do certain testing to show you how luminol is such a vital tool, important tool for law enforcement in identifying suspected blood patterns. Renee says, I live 3 miles from grandma. Thank all involved to getting them. Absolutely. We owe hats off to law enforcement. And if while you're there, Renee, a question for you. What is the general feeling of crime in the area? Is this absolutely, because while the crime stats show that basically that crime is low there, but is that typically what the community itself feels, that you're relatively safe, and that this is something that you wouldn't have thought of? Because when we looked at the crime stats the other night, um, there's only been like 2 homicides in the last 10 years in that county. If you don't mind, I appreciate it, Renee. Leanne, good to see you. Anna's having dog issues. I saw that Rock Chalk, I think, is a YouTube channel. I've never spoke to the lady. I have no knowledge of her, but she was boots on the ground there, and hats off to her. They're going out there, putting herself on the front line, and she has referred to it as a compound. And like I said, I know nothing about Rock Chalk other than I've heard her for a few minutes, and anyone that takes the time to go and help and look for missing victims, hats off. And that's the beauty of the YouTube channels that go out and have an impact and bring awareness to these cases, because you never know what clue you may find or what awareness you bring to it that can lead to a tip. So I appreciate a lot of YouTube channels out there. Shelley, member for 19 months. Thank you, Mr. and Mrs. Steve. Love you both. Absolutely appreciate your support. Renee says, thank you for the welcome. We've been looking all over for them and so glad they caught the grandma. Absolutely. I mean, if all the persons that are involved in this, and it's something that absolutely is not did not have to occur, and just do not understand what's wrong with these people that think this way. That the only way to make it better is to commit such a horrible crime that affects the lives of children. And while the grandmother has some twisted sense of love for these children, but she would inflict such pain to them by taking their mother away from them, because the kid's going to love their mother. And absolutely ridiculous of what people will twist and rationalize the acts that they're about to commit. Makes no sense. But we can't reason like that. We can't put ourselves into the mind of a mad person. Just absolutely unreal. Cass has become a YouTube member. Thank you for your support. Our YouTube members, we have meetings, or I try to have a show for you on Sundays and Wednesdays. And unless I'm on the road, I will give you as much access. So welcome aboard and look forward to seeing you. Just trying to catch up, make sure I'm not too far behind on questions. Bruno Jones. So is the grandmother arrested? Yes. She was one of the ones currently that they said has been taken into custody. Agreed. No one's talking to town about it, but everyone's watching out in their yards. Okay. Is that about the crime rate and everything? Or I know it had to put everybody on edge for the fact that early on, while everybody has suspected grandma and having some type of interaction with it, there's always the off chance that you could have some individual that had a break in reality or is just passing through that is a true monster. I mean, there's always that possibility, and I can see where everyone would be on edge a little bit there. Bruno, holy cow, thank you. Thank you for being here, sir. I would say Tiffany has a very sweet daughter. I can't imagine how she is doing with all of this. Yeah. And that's the thing is that in your family, uh, is a brother's keeper that, why it's always been thought of, but you're not always responsible for what other people in your family do. And sometimes um, you get caught up in this situation and you have absolutely no clue of what was going on. And even if you did have some idea that there is a custody, that you're not supporting the what where it's heading and the things that are said. And so we have to be very careful not to include everyone for that's associated with this family in any shape, form, or fashion that they all were in on it. That's we don't have proof of that. If law enforcement has proof of that, they'll include them in. But if law enforcement doesn't go out and start bringing in a lot of the other family and charging them in some shape, form as supporting roles, then we have to leave the other family members out. And I appreciate that, Renee, because that is a good point. Anna says, yeah, last month, and like I said, we thank everybody as our members and that comes in and um, supports us with a donation. Otherwise, last month I just got back. I'm finally recovering from my travels in March, which I'll probably match those travels in May if I get everything back and get organized and get back on the road in May. But I traveled 6,300 miles in March helping cold case families, which I couldn't do without this community and without the foundation that our nonprofit allows us to go out and do that. Thank y'all. Yes, Melissa. Yeah, there was a lot of accusations out there, and it's turned out it is appears to be true, or law enforcement has supporting evidence that it is true. Um, uh, Southern Gal says around my parts they use a lot of unmarked dark gray trucks, and here they use dark trucks. There's the Oklahoma symbol. There was a lot of patrol cars, a lot of Suburbans, and they had quite a few white vehicles. They had a white van, and they also had some white trucks that they were using, and but and there's one of the Oklahoma patrol cars for the state patrol. And then we have these white vans. Don't know if this is a CSI van or if it's loaded with support personnel. It could be the other because we've used vehicles such as this that it can be used for a lot of different things of quickly putting personnel in another location that if the support personnel or the initial officers in those front vehicles come under fire, what do we do? How do we continue the dynamic advance on the place? And so other vehicles can be used, and they had plenty of vehicles. That parade of vehicles. And this is the only one that I saw that the Cora Twombly, which is one of the butchers and that lives on the property, that she's been booked in the Texas county system. I was waiting on the others, but it got, I never could wait long enough. And if I'd waited longer, I wouldn't have had the slideshow completed that I have now. All right. Okay. Let's get back into here. Just hit the right buttons, guys. That's all I got to do. Daisy. Good to see you. It's always nice here. Waffle House funds for your investigation trip. Thank you. Appreciate that. Witchcraft. And this is an interesting fact that her son, who's in rehab, stated that the mother had threatened him several times to create this issue so that they could get custody, and threaten him with that she would take his life. Absolutely amazing that when you have family members and you have this individual, and this isn't going to play out well for her, that all of this, at some point would be brought to the attentions of the court, that this prosecutor and that we're dealing with an individual that absolutely was not only a threat to her own child. And if you're a threat to your own child and you threaten your own child, what does that mean for the rest of society? How do you value them? Because any mother that would threaten to take the life of their own child, what they would do to an average citizen or someone outside their bloodline, there's no depth to the to what evil they will go to. And this woman, if she is the one responsible for it, she is extremely dangerous. Maria Torres, $5 super sticker. Thank you. Appreciate your support. I'll use that shortly. Mitzi, thank you for your gifted the One True Crime Web membership. Thank you. Appreciate that. And Olivia, love your work, Stephen, love your channel. Like I said, the work that we're able to do through the foundation, the True Crime Web Foundation, if you haven't or been a part of that, don't know about it, truecrimeweb.com is on that page. You'll have access to the foundation, and we appreciate all the support because it goes to these families that when we go out and work with these families, whereas this case here won't be a cold case, but there's a lot of families out there that you have missing persons and they can't afford to hire anyone to go out and work those cases. And so through the foundation and through this channel and through all the monies that are donated to us, it allows us to go out and communicate and work with these families, and they appreciate it, guys. And they are absolutely in awe of everything that you allow my skill sets and my training to go out and help these families. And I'm in awe of y'all. Absolutely am. That without y'all, we couldn't do it. Renee, $5 super sticker. Thank you. Appreciate that. Like I said, we're going to be using it shortly. And whenever I will, whenever I go on my next trip in Renee, whenever I'm heading out west, I will probably head through there. I want to get an idea of the locations and everything. So if you send me an email, I would love to sit down and talk to you one-on-one. I appreciate that if you get a chance to. Thank you. Because I've got to go way out west. We've got a eDNA, environmental DNA study that we're going to be doing this summer. And I've got to go travel out west in some of the remote areas. And so as I go out through that way, I'm going to head through Oklahoma. Yes, a compound, especially when you're dealing with certain groups, can have extreme and serious meaning to them. And this is the thing, and this is what the crime stats that we looked at the other night. I don't know, Renee, if you've seen my last show that I think it was on a Thursday night, and that the biggest crime that we saw against property was vandalism, and that's going to be your younger children and things. But as far as burglaries, absolutely very few. And the rumors about human trafficking, nothing like what the rumors that had been created out there by certain people and channels. And because I always try to go out and learn a little bit about the communities, before you go out and make accusations. And one way you can do that is go in there and look at the crime stats and look at the demographics. And I didn't see anything that, y'all are, as far as what crime rate is, y'all one of the safest places I've ever seen. Brenda, $10 super sticker. Thank you. Appreciate it. It means a lot to us. Renee said, it is not a compound, it is a farm. And I will take her word for it because she is from there. There's a lot to be said. Now, Rock Chalk, like I said, she's there, and I don't know who she's talking to, but she may have spoken to some people that, for some reason, their understanding of the sovereign community is that it's a compound. No, law enforcement was prepared for just about every eventuality because they brought in some serious vehicles, and they were. You don't see that often. Yeah, witchcraft. um, Grandma sounds like a nerd, Jody. Pretty accurate. Good description. Yeah, these children have lost so much. I mean, they've lost not only their mother and going through the challenges of a divorce with their father, and these kids love them, and then find out that now they've lost their grandmother, and it's just, I mean, makes no sense. Melissa W. Mr. D, where would they have been shot at for that to happen? And that's the thing, is that I don't know if staging occurred, if that vehicle was placed there, and was there certain staging as far as blood pools? Was there staging as far as broken windows? Was there staging as far as trace evidence, blood patterns in the vehicle? We don't know. We don't know if the blood patterns in the vehicle is from transfers of someone sitting in the vehicle that had handled a victim. We have no idea. We don't know if it's from a victim that was sitting in the vehicle that was engaged in some type of violent removal from the vehicle. And there's so much that we don't know that law enforcement will look at and they'll analyze, and they know. They'll have an understanding. Was that vehicle staged there? Is there another crime scene somewhere else, and the vehicle brought back? Or is this the original and where everything took place and then the victim's removed from? We just don't know. Very kind of you, Renee. You're the only one that puts facts out. Love your dedication. Thank you. That's very kind of you. Shelly's watching both of us. Okay. And that can be, especially in large populations. Yeah, the crime stats in large cities and populations, they do that because, but in some of your smaller populations, you can't hide it. And even with those that they try to keep it down, you can still see that it's not a place that you want to visit. Yeah, I agree. Um, I was shocked actually when I looked up the Texas County crime stats. I was shocked, and because if you just listen to even news, some of the news reporting agencies that, and they have, they'll create narratives sometimes. I have a very wise friend that sends me information that has worked in these fields with the news media, and I have a new respect and of how I've evaluate certain storylines, and when certain stories go in certain ways, that they try to create an agenda and create a narrative because fear sells. And I don't approve of that. I really don't. And for anyone that goes out there and tries to create fear and create a story just through that, I'm not so much happy with that. Yeah, I expect that. Yeah, there's going to be a lot more information coming out. Now, will all the people speak? I have no idea. Junior said that he drove through an Pikesville in Ohio where the massacre happened over custody of a child. Yeah, we see a lot of these terrible stories. Chloe's mom. Um, at this time, I haven't heard that the victims have been found. Um, we have seen where certain family members have been placing on Facebook, if it's true, that they are deceased, and that can only come if that is true. Someone's talking that is in custody, and so law enforcement will be looking for supporting evidence of whatever this person's or these persons, this person or these persons are talking, and getting supporting evidence to verify that if the victims are deceased or alive. Yes, 6,300 miles. And now, if you average that out over a month, it's really not that much. But if you average it, that some of those drives were 17-hour days, 15-hour days, because the families that I work with and the teams that went with me, because I had one team that went with me during this trip to a location, and I thank them a lot. Hopefully, I've got some more work for them in the future, and we'll be traveling again. Oh, Copper Horse. Gifted 50 True Crime Web memberships. Thank you. I appreciate that. That means a lot to us. Absolutely. Appreciate that. That will be used shortly. Donna Barnes, good to see you. Sandra, good to see you. Criminal Med. $50 Shades of Faye, good to see you. That's absolutely amazing for Copper Horse, and even you, Maria. And we appreciate any of the support. I appreciate everyone in my community, regardless if you're able to donate or not. Any support that you give this channel through views, likes, sharing, because it's important. Not so much for what me personally for the YouTube channel, but for the cold cases that we go out and work for these families. Because those families, when you're talking to them and you can see the tears in their eyes and the gratefulness in their hearts, that when they can't believe that of all the things that they've been trying to get attention brought to their case, some of them like Larry Crum for 40 years, that when we go out and we meet with the families, that they want attention brought to it, and they expect that they have to pay a price, and they're absolutely overwhelmed when they find out that no, there's nothing to it. They don't have to do anything. That everything that we can bring to the case through resources, technologies, experts, that's all taken care of, and there's nothing they've paid. And so now it's just for us to try to go out there, bring attention to the cases, look at the evidence that is there, and try to generate new leads so that law enforcement will relook at the case and follow up on those leads and reopen them and we count that as a win. Sandra said, amateur psychology says narcissistic, sociopath, psychopath. I just generally refer to them as psychopaths. I pretty well put them all as psychopath. How do I set up the membership? Jim's mom, there's generally somewhere on the chat box that you can go in there, and there's like a little gift box. If you click on it, that it will go through here and pick you at random, I think. So whenever you go into any of these channels, always hit that you'll accept the gift box, and so that when these generous souls give this, you'll have access to their channels or their membership. I hope that that's not what she does, but you never know. I mean, we're dealing with someone that doesn't think like us. Junior Johnson says, I'd walk through the fire for my grandkids. Absolutely. There's a lot of things that we as grandparents will do for our grandkids as far as protecting them. And but that's from the evils. It's not from taking loved ones from the children. If this, I know of nothing that this mother had done to the children. True Crime Web, a very large true crime channel, spent several shows talking about trafficking, etc., and didn't do any search of the public court docs. And that's the thing, is that crime stats are easy to find. Every state has them. Just go in there, type into Oklahoma crime stats by county, and they'll pull them up for you. And you can go in there and look at every department, because every law enforcement agency, even here in Georgia, that regardless of their size, they report their crime stats to the state, and that database has that information. So you can pretty well find everything that you need. Now, this is a great saying, guys. Jim's mom, 2015. I love my grandbabies past heaven and back, but I want to spoil them, not raise them. That is absolutely beautiful. Thank you. Mustang 65. Channel site claimed that a local rancher said he saw 2 pickup trucks beside the women's vehicle. I hadn't seen that yet. I heard that they were a cattle trailer or a truck or something there that someone saw passing by, but I hadn't heard about the 2 vehicles. Oh my goodness. You did another 50? Gifted 50 True Crime Web memberships? Unreal. Thank you. I will use that. Like I said, I go back out on the road and see, it's mid-April, probably in the next 4 weeks. Got a lot of planning. If everything comes in that we expect, that will from the university and institutes that we're working with and professionals, that if all that comes past and we're ready, I've got a long trip set ahead for me. Wildflower 2828, good to see you. Witchcraft, Cop Horse, you are special. Well said. Absolutely. Phil Bond, good to see you. Nanar. Yes, we're I'm very proud of my channel. You know, I've going on 2 years now, and been a lot of work. And like I said, I have a great community. I'm very proud of y'all guys. Absolutely. Yeah, I remember that there was it was evaluated, and that's what I was curious about when they talk about pools. How big of a pool, and what type of surface was it on? How much absorbent of the soil and cat litter? I've never heard about that before. A lot of interesting things that they was talking about. Yeah, there's supposed to be you select that you will accept gifts or something. There's supposed to be something out there up towards the top of the chat or something. Patricia Banks. Yeah, it is that um, need distractions from everything that's going on in the world. And then it's this. Forensic DH, good to see you. Agatha Krusty. Hello, Peyton Place. Good to see you. Bama Sins in the house. There's probably a process that you may have to go through a different app and or go through a laptop. SB74, good to see you. Daisy. Yeah, it depends on what. If you're on iPhones, you may have to go through to a different um, platform or through a different app. Molly and them generally, and if you can't get into it tonight, just send me an email, steve@truecrimeweb.com, and I will send you how to uh, become a member. Yeah, the iPhones are different. Okay, just send me an email to purple at steve@truecrimeweb.com, and I will send you how you can, on regardless of what type of device you have. Mustang 65 and I are on the same page. It's the same results with all psychos. And Sparky, I'm with you. I know I'm very close to a lovely lady named Mrs. Steve. That absolutely, she's the same way. Somewhere's in chat it has information on how to become a member. Grandma May or have a Ma Parker. Yes, Bonnie and Clyde. CJK. Let's see if I can get it up there. The mom was taking them for a couple of days. Why would the grandma overreact? Unless she believed the rumor about the uncle, but heck, maybe she's the one who created. Yeah, the manipulation of this woman. If you go by just what she made her son do, is absolutely unreal. Lynette. Well, that's yes. I did not. Molly said that she threatened the judge also, and of course her son. And I'm, I can't see how she got by with threatening a judge. Uh, I don't know if, but if you've gifted 50 more, my goodness, thank you. Absolutely amazing. Unbelievable. Thank you. And that's why I said I've had such a great community, and Copper Horse has always been so gracious, not only with my channel, but other channels. If you ever see her, always give her a thank you, because she does a lot for the YouTube community. Absolutely amazing. Hello, Michelle C. And well said. Thank you for being so generous. Very few is not so much as me and Mrs. Steve, but our community and what we try to do for these families through the channel and through the True Crime Foundation. We thank you. Thank you. I like that last part. Ethical true crime with a purpose. Uh, Mrs. Steve, capture that. I love that. That is ethical true crime with a purpose. I love that. Nadia. The purple, $9.99. Thank you. Appreciate it. Like I said, we'll use all that on the road shortly. Try and get caught up, not get too far. I'm catching up, guys. I'm not too far behind. Yes, Lynette, I agree with you. They must all be insane to think they get away with it. But that's all going to change very shortly. I don't have any idea of where that rumor and of the pools and the or as far as the kitty litter. I have no idea, and I can't see it being used in any type of manner that would be in where processing of any type of professional butcher would use kitty litter. Makes no sense. True Crime Time. Good to see you. Thank you, Junior Johnson. That's very kind of you to say. Hello, Karen Bentley. Snell, I don't know how to get approved for a gift membership. I tap it and it doesn't do anything. Once you tap it, I think it puts you into the pool, and then it's just random. I don't think you're guaranteed to get it, but at some point, as it goes through its whatever type of algorithm and selection process, that it will select you or not. I think it's totally random. I think. But my understanding of the Google machine is far less than most. And this is what a grandparent does. I don't care for one of my days, but I keep that to myself. I would never say or do anything to hurt my grandson. And that's what grandkids, that's what we all as grandparents, we just don't want to hurt our kids, and we don't want to hurt our grandkids. I have baby Steve, which is my daughter, and then I have double alt and triple alt that my community named my grandkids that I refer to them as. Oh, Agatha Crusty, love your channel. Thank you. Appreciate your support. Oh, okay, so their mug shots are out there now. Okay, we'll get that in for a future show and everything. Thank you. Yeah, Daisy, that's what cat litter. And also, one of my, I think it's um, that kitty litter is used for uh, out west, also as on ice and things. That I've been advised to. I think Anna Lizette has told me a time or two that that's what they use out west in the North Country to keep it in their vehicle for icy conditions. Okay, yeah, I've got those pictures somewhere that they finally came through. Thank you. Yeah, yeah, mechanics use cat litter. Yeah. With respect, mostly. When I change litter, there's dust, toxic, so no to that. Used to be sawdust. Okay. Yeah. Uh, we use a lot of sawdust. Where when I was a kid working at a service station, we used sawdust. That's before they had a Zorball or whatever it's called now. Sue, I have no, in the world of CSI, no, you wouldn't use um, um, anything to cover up blood pools. In my world of CSI, if there's a blood pool, if it was of significant, until I discovered how deep it had went into the ground, I would collect the pool. Um, you know, for the fact that there is a court precedent set that at a certain level of blood loss, you're not sustainable, and we have to know how much blood's there, and that can be concluded if through certain testing in certain soils of how much blood's there, and if it's past the limit of you surviving, even if you don't expect them body to recover or never find, it will help determine if they're deceased or alive. Yeah, that's. I thought it was you, Anna, that was telling me about the kitty litter on the when you have to walk on ice or drive on ice. Yes, if I charge my daughter for how much time Mrs. Steve and I spend with our grandkids, um, and absolutely enjoy it. Uh, Actually, I would pay. I don't know if I should tell baby Steve that I would pay to keep the grandkids. She might use that as an enterprise. I wouldn't think that would make the certain test invalid. I wouldn't expect that. Steve's 007. Oh, that's funny. Before getting close to getting caught up. But if you have any information or if you know anybody in the area, absolutely make sure law enforcement has that information, because as we get closer to the end here, guys, I appreciate everybody being here. Appreciate everyone's support. Um, and this is a good point. I got into an argument about that. A puddle as opposed to a pool. My argument, there's blood there. Yes. And there's a process with CSI that they would collect a sample of that for the fact that just because it looks like blood, until those tests come back, we don't know what type of blood, if it is blood, what type of blood is it? What species is it? Is it animal blood, hog blood, cattle blood, human blood? And if it's human, is it from either one of our victims, or is it from someone else that was there that was harmed? Is it from an offender that was possibly a victim of self-defense by one of the victims? There's a lot of ways that pools of blood that can occur at crime scenes. It's not always the victim's blood. And so as CSI, we have to identify that. And they would. Is it from one victim, two victims, three victims? Is there a mixture? There's so much unanswered questions that sometimes that we jump to that, oh, there's a pool of blood. And we have two pool of bloods, we have two victims. So instantly everyone jumps to the conclusion that those two pools, one represents each of the victims. Could, maybe not. We just don't know. Pamela saying her idea of cold weather is anything below 72. Mrs. Steve and you, that's about it. And I hope that it was said by a friend of Jillian that she always carried a weapon. And that's how come I said it's important for us to identify everything that we know about that crime scene in those pools. Because like I said, it could be something that is linked to something that we're unaware of. I have no idea how to pronounce that, but you are correct. It is so sad. I'll be darned. Okay, I'll be darned. Okay, I'll be darned. Okay, I got you. As a kid, my mother used to get on to me for some of my slang. Thank you, Daisy. That's very kind of you. Kansas 66. Cat litter, could it be used to transfer blood to make a fake crime scene? And that's the thing, is that we have to identify those pools. And is it staging or not? Don't know. Just makes no sense to me. From the first time I heard cat litter. Oh yeah, they can check a lot of different human fluids, waste, and otherwise to tell about different DNA. Cindy Snyder, good to see you. All right, guys, I finally got caught up. But anyway, like I said, we want to thank everybody. Let me go through our list here. Absolutely appreciate it. Our blue light, Cynthia Gain. Oh, let me get, there we go. Appreciate it. Shelly, good to, thank you. Cass, Daisy. Let me get on through here. I've got a lot of people to thank tonight. Absolutely appreciate everybody's support. Maria, Mitzi, Olivia, Renee, good, thank you. Brenda, appreciate it. And once again, I'm trying to get everything lined up. And Copper Horse, 50 there. Copper Horse, another 50. That's 100. Copper Horse, another 50. That's 150. Absolutely unbelievable. Thank you. And Purple, $9.99. And Agatha Krusty, $5. Love your channel. Thank you. And also thank everyone that views this. And like I said, if you like this show, this video, and this information that we brought out there tonight, regardless of how sad it is, we appreciate it. And can't do what we do without all y'all's support, but give it a thumbs up, share it. And we appreciate everybody that's a part of this community. And I look forward to seeing our members tomorrow night. It'll be around 7 o'clock on Sunday. And y'all stay safe out there, and we'll see y'all soon. And let me get this. And y'all have a great night, guys.